Only a few days left. In just 5 days, the lights will go out at the Australian Grand Prix at the legendary Melbourne Grand Prix circuit, and the 2026 Formula One season will officially begin. But this isn't just another season opener. This is the beginning of a brand new Formula One era. New engines, new aerodynamics, lighter cars, and possibly a completely reshaped competitive order. And if preseason testing is anything to go by, Melbourne could deliver one of the most unpredictable season openers we've seen in years. If you're excited for the 2026 season and want deep technical breakdowns all year long, make sure you subscribe to F1 Grid right now and turn on notifications, because what's coming in Melbourne could redefine the championship battle before it even begins. Let's break it all down. All eyes are on Ferrari heading into Australia. After years of frustration under the previous regulations, Ferrari made a bold call in 2025. They effectively sacrificed development on that car to focus entirely on 2026. That gamble now arrives at its first real test. The SF26 completed over 6,000 kilometers in testing without major reliability issues. That alone is huge in a season with radically different hybrid architecture and new sustainable fuel requirements. Reliability in a regulation reset year is often more important than outright speed. Technically, Ferrari's concept is fascinating. They've committed to a smaller turbocharger architecture. With the removal of the MGU-H in 2026, turbo response becomes critical. Early testing data suggests Ferrari has excellent low-speed spool-up, meaning stronger initial acceleration phases, something that could be decisive into Turn 1 at Albert Park, a circuit where positioning after the first braking zone can define the race. On the aerodynamic side, Ferrari's rear packaging appears extremely tight. The reshaped side pods and refined cooling layout suggest confidence in their thermal efficiency. Several floor revisions were tested across Bahrain and Barcelona, and reports indicate that Australia will feature their first true race-spec bodywork package. In 2024, Ferrari arrived in Melbourne competitive but not dominant. In 2025, they struggled with consistency. This year, the mood is very different. Lewis Hamilton enters his second season in red, and after a difficult transition year, he now has input in shaping this car from early development stages. Charles Leclerc, entering his 8th season with Ferrari, is at the peak of his experience and speed. Both drivers have spoken about improved drivability and stability under braking, two areas that historically hurt Ferrari in Melbourne's stop-start layout. The SF26 doesn't look flashy, it looks efficient, and that might be exactly what wins championships in 2026. What makes Ferrari's situation even more interesting heading into Melbourne is how the 2026 regulations reward mechanical consistency over pure aerodynamic peak load. With reduced overall downforce and a stronger emphasis on active aero balance, rear stability under traction is becoming one of the biggest differentiators between cars. Albert Park may look smooth on TV, but its surface evolution across the weekend is dramatic. Grip increases rapidly from Friday to Sunday, and cars that manage rear tire temperature without overheating will have a huge strategic advantage. If Ferrari's long run balance from testing translates to Melbourne, they won't just be competitive over one lap, they could control stint lengths, opening the door to undercut and overcut flexibility. That's something they lacked in both 2024 and 2025, when tire degradation forced them into reactive strategies rather than proactive ones. If Ferrari looks stable, Mercedes looks dangerous. Testing suggests Mercedes may have the strongest internal combustion engine output on the grid. However, reliability concerns surfaced during Bahrain testing, with cooling adjustments indicating they are still fine-tuning thermal management around the new battery-heavy power units. Albert Park historically rewards efficient power deployment. Mercedes' biggest unknown heading into Australia is fuel homologation and combustion efficiency under the new sustainable fuel rules. If they unlock full performance in Melbourne, they could instantly become favorites.
But if reliability resurfaces, the season could begin on the back foot.
Another key variable for Mercedes in Australia will be energy deployment mapping across the race distance. The 2026 power units rely much more heavily on electrical output, especially on circuits like Melbourne, where acceleration zones are short but frequent. Efficient harvesting under braking into turns 3, 9, and 11 will be critical to maintaining battery charge without compromising lap time. Teams that miscalculate deployment early in the race could face energy clipping in the final laps of each stint. That's where we may see differences between manufacturers, not just in raw engine power, but in software calibration and race management. Historically, Mercedes has been strong in this area, but the regulation reset levels the field and puts even more pressure on simulator correlation heading into Race 1. Red Bull's RB22 hasn't undergone a dramatic visual overhaul since testing, but development has not slowed. Front wing revisions are rumored for Australia, alongside floor edge refinements. Cooling remains a key variable as they adapt to the new hybrid balance. In 2024, Red Bull mastered Melbourne with aerodynamic efficiency. In 2025, they were competitive but not flawless. This year feels more uncertain, but Red Bull rarely reveals its full hand before Race 1. McLaren enters 2026 as the benchmark from 2025, yet their new car appears evolutionary rather than revolutionary. Minor updates are confirmed for Australia, particularly around weight reduction. Reports suggest the car is slightly above minimum weight, and shedding kilograms early could unlock immediate lap time gains. Weight sensitivity is especially important in Melbourne due to its combination of medium-speed corners and heavy braking zones. Aston Martin arrives with technical challenges, including reported vibration issues affecting battery stability. Temporary fixes are expected for Australia, with larger upgrades planned later. Albert Park's layout exposes instability, especially through its flowing second sector and demanding braking zones. Alpine and Haas benefit from Mercedes engine supply upgrades, potentially improving straight line speed immediately. Williams reportedly carries excess weight from testing, which could hurt them over race distance, though Melbourne's layout may slightly mask that disadvantage. Newer or restructuring teams are likely prioritizing reliability over aggressive performance in the opening round. Melbourne as a season opener has a history of surprises. In recent years, pace fluctuations and strategic learning curves reshuffled expectations. Now in 2026, with a 50-50 hybrid power balance between combustion and electric output, energy deployment strategy becomes critical. Stability during aerodynamic activation phases could determine overtaking success, and as always, Turn 1 in Melbourne may define the race outcome. The development war has already begun. Teams are preparing early upgrade waves, knowing that momentum in a regulation reset year can snowball quickly. Ferrari brings its race day specification. Mercedes may introduce subtle aero tweaks. McLaren focuses on weight reduction. Red Bull fine-tunes balance. Aston Martin aims to stabilize reliability. No one is standing still. Right now, the grid looks closer than it has in years. Ferrari appears composed. Mercedes looks powerful but slightly uncertain. McLaren seems consistent. Red Bull is evolving quietly. Australia won't decide the championship, but it will reveal who interpreted these revolutionary regulations correctly. It's also worth remembering how unpredictable Melbourne can be strategically. Safety cars have played a decisive role in multiple recent editions of the race, and the layout, with its fast chicanes and tight walls, leaves little room for error. A well-timed safety car under the new energy-sensitive regulations could completely reshape strategy calculations. Teams will need to balance tire life, battery charge state, and active aero usage under neutralized conditions. In 2024 and 2025, we saw how quickly race control interventions changed momentum. In 2026, with cars more sensitive to ride height and platform control, restarts could become even more critical. That adds another layer of uncertainty to an already unpredictable season opener, and that matters. The lights go out on Sunday, March 8th at 9:30 a.m. A new era begins in Melbourne. The questions end, and the stopwatch tells the truth. Who mastered the hybrid revolution?
Who managed cooling better? Who sacrificed 2025 wisely? Drop your predictions in the comments below. And if you want complete post-race analysis and technical breakdowns after Melbourne, make sure you subscribe to F1 Grid and hit the bell. The 2026 war starts now.